Liga MX are officially eliminated from the League's Cup. There are only MLS teams going on to the semifinals. It was a disappointing day for Liga MX fans, but the real question is, did Liga MX even try, or what went wrong for Liga MX? And that's what we're going to talk about in this episode today. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, check out all the platform links down below. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Chat Football. I'm your host, as always, Gerardo. As you guys can tell, my setup is a little different. Tomas's setup actually looks more clean. Tomas, once again, thank you for hopping on and actually looking more professional than me. I'm kind of chopped right now because I'm moving into a new spot. So hopefully, within the next few weeks, we could pimp out this room I got, and then maybe we could actually do some live episodes. So that's what's on the horizon for Chat Football. But anyways, Tomas, thanks for hopping on. Yeah, I just want to get your initial reactions. I mean, we went to the game yesterday. We saw Toluca put an absolute stinker against Orlando. We saw Pachuca get cooked in like 45 minutes against LA Galaxy. And then obviously Puebla took it to PKs against Seattle Sounders, which was kind of surprising. And then Inter Miami, I want to say, with the help of the refs, beat Tigres. What went wrong for Liga MX yesterday, bro? Like, just off the bat.
I mean, it's a game on game basis. I mean, for Tigres, it's really just unfortunate the penalty calls, but obviously playing away from Tigres, playing in Inter Miami, obviously a different climate. Tigres more, it's either hot or cold, but it's very dry. Whereas you go to Miami, it's very humid. So I mean, it's expected for Inter Miami to be able to win, especially in the summertime. Obviously the penalties help a bit, but I mean, they should have won. I still think Tigres is a better side overall. Now it's just kind of what comes into mind the average Liga MX fan, if you think about it, doesn't really care about this tournament. Do the teams care? Like, especially the bigger teams, because the bigger teams didn't even use, like, how would I say, their full starting lineups for most of this tournament.
That's where I argue like the opposite, because you remember when Tigres played against Toluca, and Toluca used like their B squad, and Tigres ended up smacking them 4-1 at the Nemesio 10 like a couple weeks ago, and then they saved that starting 11 for their opening game for the League's Cup. I felt like there was some sort of seriousness, at least from the starting 11s or from a coaching standpoint, or maybe they were told to make it seem that way. But then, like, when we were live watching the game, we saw there was no energy from either team, or they were just kind of stooping down to like the MLS level of football, especially from Toluca specifically. Pachuca as well too. Both of them were very disappointing in mainly the first halves. I think the second half, specifically for Toluca, that's when they actually like showed a little bit of energy, try to fight and try to actually do something in the game, but it just wasn't enough. But I mean, we saw yesterday they went out with a pretty strong lineup. They went with Vega, Paulinho, Canelo, Marcel, all their main starters yesterday. But I don't know if it's like maybe a travel issue, traveling from like El Estado de Mexico to over here, or if it's just like how you were saying, they just really don't care, the same way that the average Liga MX fan doesn't really care about the tournament. So I feel like it's a little mix of both.
I'm just gonna say like this: like when we were there, I mean, you felt it. You felt the weather. It made you lazy. It made us lazy. We were getting tired. We had to go get a double espresso to even be able to watch the game.
Yeah.
And thinking about it in that factor, one, I mean, it just felt like a lazy day. And then two, think about it. Even though it might have been, I think it was like 10 out of the 11 players are the ones that started in the final. So, but that's not the same team that played against America. And I was saying this: why is it when Mexican teams, like when Pachuca beats Botafogo, when Tigres beats Flamengo, when they play a team that's to a high level, they play at a high level. But when they play a team that's at a low level, their output is low as well.
Yeah. They like end up dropping to their level. But that's like something that we've seen with Mexican sides in general, or even like when it comes to like La Selección, we'll play like a Germany, an Argentina, a Netherlands, and we'll rise to the occasion. But then when we're playing like an Ecuador or Venezuela, we'll end up like kind of matching their level, thinking that like, oh, this should be an easy match, and then we end up struggling. And I feel like maybe that's also part of it, where maybe teams like Toluca and Pachuca are like, oh, you know what, we should be getting this wins, no problem. And then, se agrandaron de más, and eventually, like when it was time to like step on the accelerator, it was already too late.
No, yeah, I mean I agree, but it's unfortunate because out of the four teams, all four MLS teams advance, where it's
Yeah,
kind of
crazy.
where it's not the ideal occasion. But the fact is on this that Puebla was probably the best side in terms of dignity
Hmm.
in this whole in this phase of the League's Cup because I mean they were literally the like how would I say this like the most undervalued team. You don't really expect Puebla to get into this instance. They don't even have the economy to get into this to this instance because they don't have nowhere near the same amount of money as the poorest team on this side, which is Seattle Sounders.
Yeah,
For them to be able to do that with the team that they have, with the struggle that they have to get in and even make it to a penalty shootout versus Sounders, who beat Cruz Azul, like mopped the floor
7-2.
terribly.
Yeah,
So I guess
yeah,
that's the highlight that Liga MX has right now.
yeah. That like one of our lower side teams were actually able to make at least a good effort against some of the better MLS sides. I mean, we saw in the first match that Puebla played, they smacked New York City. I forgot who else they played against in the other two matches, off the top of my head at least. But obviously they were good enough to get into the next round, and then a Seattle Sounders, who honestly I think has been one of the most impressive teams in MLS in just recent history. Yeah, they were able to like hold them off to a draw. Obviously, Seattle ended up getting a red card like in the final, like what 45 minutes of the game or 30 minutes of the game.
Like the
So,
end, then
so
at
I
the
feel like Puebla should have capitalized off of that. But yeah, like you said, Puebla do have a limitations in like an economical factor. Um, but yeah, I mean the fact they were able to at least take it to penalties, and and penalties, anything can happen. Same thing that happened with Orlando. Like honestly, uh, Pedro Galese pulled off two amazing saves. We saw them live, and at that point, it's just anyone's game. So
and scoring the winning penalty as well.
yeah, I forgot about that part. That was actually took a lot of balls, like for a goalkeeper to be like, you know what, I blocked two. Let me take it. Like that was something that was very impressive. Didn't he play for Mazatlan too, or Veracruz or something?
I know he played somewhere in Mexico. I don't know exactly where, but I know
Veracruz.
he's familiar to me because I know he played it for he plays for Peru
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he's a fairly decent goalkeeper.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he definitely played well yesterday. Overall, yeah, like how we were saying, like let us know what you guys think. What is the main reason why Liga MX failed? Is it because the teams didn't care? Is it maybe the lack of energy from the teams? Another factor that also just occurred into my head was the fact that the Localia, obviously not playing at home. And while we did see a lot of Toluca fans, a lot of Pachuca fans at the Dignity Health Sports Park in LA, obviously you're not playing with your actual fans, like from the Mesio 10 or from El Estadio Hidalgo. Or, I mean, keep in mind, Tigres had to play, like how you said, in Miami. Seattle had to, or Puebla played in Seattle, and Seattle actually pack out their stadiums, right? Have a can attract a good crowd. So maybe does that actually affect? I actually saw Turco Mohamed. He was talking about in the press conference after the game. He was saying that uh, like, oh, bring these teams to Mexico, and 9 times out of 10, all the Mexican teams would beat the MLS teams. Like the
And
localia basically is a big factor.
I saw that, and I saw an MLS kind of commentator, well, a small creator to say it like that. He was saying that that's pretty practically he was trying to call it soberbio, that he was being a soberbio because, but historically it's true. I mean, 19 out of the last 20, CONCACAF Champions Leagues, most of the finals have been Mexico versus USA, and it closes in Mexico because Mexico usually has the better team.
Yeah.
They win it.
Yeah, look at what happened the last two times. It was Vancouver versus Cruz Azul, 5-0, and UNAM. And then the game before that, Columbus Crew versus Pachuca, 3-0, and Hidalgo. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't even. I'm appalled to say that you lost the final to Cruz Azul. Like that's crazy. And 5-0, just
yeah,
insane. I've never seen anything like it. But that's what I'm saying. It's different. It's different down there. And I mean, I've been to the Estadio Akron. I recently showed you how the Chivas fans reacted to Chivas losing to one to Juarez, and it's just different. Yesterday when Toluca lost, everybody was kind of just like, oh. But like when it's like Chivas losing in a home stadium in the third jornada, the fan base is like throwing beers at them, yelling at them, and telling them like that they don't do shit practically.
Yeah.
chances against their own team, and it's different.
Yeah. There's more pressure, from
There's
the
more,
home fans.
there's more pressure to perform, and it's one of the reasons a lot of people leave Chivas because it's their fan base is so toxic, and it's so they just ask a lot when they sometimes they don't have they have anything to give left.
Yeah. And I like how you're saying, like that definitely you felt that like from the Toluca fans at the LA stadium and the Pachuca fans. It's not like it's probably would be completely different as you would see in Mexico. I mean, we've seen a packed out MSLDS, and I'm sure for a game like this, a quarterfinal against an MLS team, it wouldn't be a sold out crowd at the MSLDS, but it would be, a pretty serious attraction of crowd. There may be like talking 20,000, 30,000 people, but like how the stadium is built, like it's an intimidating stadium
Right.
versus Dignity Hill Sports Park. It's more of like a community friendly, kid friendly type of stadium. Like it's wasn't really anything crazy.
No, yeah, I mean, this is what we always said that like LA Galaxy is kind of like like that US football where it was pretty much family friendly. You could go with your dad, your kids. Have a good experience. Kind of like the Angel Stadium. Think of it.
Mhm.
And then you go to the LAFC games, and it's more like it's more Hispanic. It's more LAFC's fan base is mostly like Mexican, Argentinian, Brazilian people. So it's kind of more. It's different.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
people that come of footballing cultures, and especially when you throw the Argentinian and South American influence in there, you see it in the I forgot what their barras called. You know, the LAFC. I
The
forgot what they're
three two
called.
five two.
252. Yeah. So it's different, but obviously that plays into a factor. But overall, I feel like Liga MX should have done better. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I also see at the same time some Mexican creators they'll say that this is like a consolation trophy for the MLS because they're gonna win anything in the CONCACAF Cup. They're
Yeah.
probably saying, what's the point of you getting an extra C if you never won it either way? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter to you.
At the end of the day, the downside of this, fracaso from Liga MX is that those tres plazos for the CONCACAF Champions Cup for, this coming tournament goes to three MLS teams, so that's the downside. But we do have a good amount of Liga MX teams already in the tournament as well. So yeah, that's just kind of the biggest like hit that Liga MX took. It could have been another spot for a Liga MX team to be in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which in turn means a chance to qualify to the FIFA Club World Cup and make some serious money.
Yeah, but honestly, I as a Liga MX fan, I'm not worried. I feel like the top four teams that go through, it's gonna be America, Toluca, and then it's the one with the best points, which is probably gonna be Cruz Azul. I think they have the most points over the last two
Well,
tournaments.
Cruz Azul's already in because they won the Champions Cup last
Oh
few
yeah, you're
months ago,
right. That gets in, so it might be.
like
So
a
it's gonna be
Monterrey or Tigres or
probably
something.
Monterrey Tigres, somebody the two with the most amount of points in the last two tournaments.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll see, but I'm not worried at all. Especially if Toluca and America are in there, I feel like Toluca in a home and away game beats Orlando 10 times out of 10.
yeah, and that's really what we need to see. Like, I kind of want to just like before we end the call, I just wanted to see like what needs to change. What needs to change for the Leagues Cup to be like considered a serious tournament? Because it's not like we're saying it's a bad idea of a tournament. It's really not. Like, it is a fun. We've been to a couple of games, and when the games are good, they're good. When there's actual entertainment, that's the great part. But like, what is it gonna take for it to get to that next level of competition? You
Like
know,
it's not a bad idea. It's just a terrible format. I mean, how many times has the format been switched? Like three
like
times.
three times already. Yeah,
So, but look at it this way: how do you have a conjoined tournament, but divide it by the four best Liga MX teams versus the four best MLS teams, and not be able to say like the fifth Liga MX team could take out the fourth best MLS team if the fifth team, competed better? It
mm,
makes no sense to me because they're in the same tournament. It's not a different tournament. It's not like they're in a different bracket. No, they're playing against these US teams. You get me?
yeah,
Now it's kind of just like it's pretty much unfair at that point where you have to have four of one side, have to have four of the other side, even though one side may not take their best players or not start their best 11, or the other side, has more input into it.
yeah. I feel like the rivalry is kind of becoming forced at some point, where instead of like letting a rivalry actually grow naturally, which how most rivalries really become, it's more of a natural thing, not a forced rivalry where it's like, oh, a Liga MX team has to play an MLS team. It's like, not just play like a typical league phase. whoever's the best in those, not top four, because at that point, like how Efrain Alvarez, or it was no, Efrain Juarez said in the conference after Pumas got eliminated, he's like, los otros 14 somos pendejos,
Yeah,
because, like if you just lose the 1 point, you're basically eliminated. Like you can't afford to not win. It's like if it's gonna be at that high stakes, at least allow another like 3 or 4 teams, like kind of like Champions League, where they have a top eight, and then the bottom uh like four under those then go to like a knockout round, almost like a play-in type of round.
no, yeah,
Do
exactly.
something like that.
I mean, that obviously be more fair, but I also like. I think I saw this from a South American creator. It was kind of the idea that Leagues Cup is not entertaining because nobody gives a fuck about it. But if you throw South Americans in there,
That too.
at some point, now the argument against that, at least from I forgot which MLS person was asked this question, kind of like brushed it off, saying the argument against that is to qualify to the Champions Cup. But when Mexican teams would play the Libertadores, they wouldn't qualify even if they won it. So I mean, it could just be have them there for competition because at the end of the day, this is to grow, to develop your teams. You
Yeah,
know,
it's to develop the region.
exactly, to develop the region because yes, you get into the Champions Cup, but it's still kind of just like it's kind of like how they want to take it from a rivalry, and they kind of want to develop. This is a project to develop kind of the U.S. because Liga MX is in the sense of when they start more advanced because they've won
Yeah.
so much more times to have more games between each other to be able to acclimate the players for when they play the Champions Cup, they know who they're playing.
Hmm.
Now, if you throw Argentinians and Brazilian teams in there, we don't have to throw all of them in there. Just say like 4 of each league or whatever you want to do. Now it makes it more interesting because we saw the output that
The
Boca,
club world.
that Boca and River had in Miami, in Texas, and I mean we even saw the output that
LA.
they're in California, and there's
Yeah.
not a bunch of Argentinians here, but there's a fair amount that support these big teams.
Hmm.
So I mean that's just my idea, but
Yeah, there's different ways that they can play around with the format. I think we're going to see at least another switch within the next year or two, especially now that this happened, that the Liga MX teams got all wiped out pretty much in quarterfinals. They're going to be like, I know maybe there's going to be some sort of like complaint from Liga MX teams or Liga MX uh, people in the background. They're going to be like, nah, we got to fix something because like we have to kind of force this rivalry to keep going. So I don't know. We'll see what else they can do. Let us know your thoughts. What would you change in the Leagues Cup? What did you think of this version of the tournament so far for Liga MX fans? Are you excited for these next couple of matches, semifinals and finals between these MLS teams? And then let us know, where did Liga MX go wrong? What could they have done? What teams should have done better? Which teams disappointed? Let us know all of that down below. Tomas, once again, thank you for hopping on. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.